Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Do something about the situation. And welcome to another Sovereign Saturday. And I'm using that term, I got to shout out, shout yourself out, the young man had applied that term to these days, because on Saturdays, it's not even about man gets woman, it's about being sovereign, being a man in control of his environment. And one of those things about being in control of the environment is doing something about a situation. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And I remember it was like back in the 90s, I was having a discussion with a Hispanic friend of mine. And we were talking about stuff in the black community, all the problems and everything. And I never forget what she said. And she said it to me. I mean, man, I had a different feeling about her after she said it. She said, what are you going to do about it? Now, when she said you, she didn't mean the entire black community. She meant me, because she knew me very well. She knew I was that type who, if there was a problem, my tendency was to at least try to think of a way to solve it. Indeed, my work is about solving some issues, which is primarily helping men to be the best version, because as I said, men keep order. You have a critical mass of men who stand up in this society, things change across the board, economically, politically, socially. So just even then, what are you going to do about the situation? See, if something come up, it does no good to sit around and just complain about it. Like, I'll tell you what, and this is kind of in the man gets woman thing. I often, even on my other channels, will get someone who will say, oh, women don't want me. Okay, what you gonna do about it? What's complaining gonna do? Seriously, tell me what complaining has ever actually done in anything. Even when people protest something, you got major protests about something, what has that really changed? The change came when somebody was doing something, did something about it. Whether it was a political thing, a boycott, whatever, they took some action somewhere. But if you that type of person who is just going to complain and think that's going to change, that's not going to happen, especially as a man. Especially as a man. I want y'all to think about something. Let's be real in this society. If a woman complain about something, oh shoot, you got everybody. You got other men who will jump in. I remember I saw this clip of this video, this male Spirit Airlines employee was getting into it with this woman. And I mean, it was getting physical. But then you had other guys running to defend her, ready to fight him for her, even though she probably started it. Because in this society, well, women do something, they just cry a little bit. They can complain, and somebody might do something about it. But let's be real. If a man did the same thing, they'd be like, man up, do something about it. Like, you got guys complaining about a situation, nobody really gives a shit. Let's just be real. Nobody, who's sympathetic to us? Maybe somebody else going through something similar, but even then, say it's a group of men complaining about something, people gonna be like, well, what you gonna do about it? You gonna complain? Nobody has any sympathy. When has sympathy ever worked for men? Let's just be real. When has sympathy ever worked? Please let me know if it's ever worked. And that's been throughout history, because let's be real, groups of men are competitive with each other. If one group of men who are exercising their power sees another group complaining, all they're gonna do is let them keep complaining, because then that's one more group of men they don't have to compete with. Or whether that's a group, whether it's individually. Let's use that man gets woman scenario. And the reason why I'm using it, a lot of men can relate to it. You really think that guy who's getting all the women really gives a shit if you complaining? Now, he might give a shit if you say, hey, help me out and everything, which means you trying to do something about the situation. But if you just gonna sit there and complain, who gives a fuck? I don't usually curse on these, but who gives a fuck? Seriously, as a man, nobody cares. They'll let you, let's just be real out here. They'll just let that man go to the wayside. So if you got a problem, you got to say, you know what, I can't ask anybody to solve this. I'll solve it. Even if you religious, one of those religious people, I'm going to let God take care of it. Well, God ain't going to do anything. Let's be real. How many people have complained about something, prayed like crazy, and nothing happened? You still got to take action. Let me use that, let me use that religious example. You know, there was a story I was told one time. I forgot where I got it from. It was about this priest. There was a flood, and this priest was on top of a house. He had got to the top of a house, and he said, well, I'm going to pray about it. God's going to come save me. So, you know, he said, God, you know, a boat came by, said, hey, you got to get in. And the priest was like, no, God's going to save me. Another boat came by and said, hey, let me get you off of here. No, God's going to save me. Third boat came by. The priest was still like, God's going to save me. He ended up drowning. He got to heaven and he said, Lord, I kept praying for you to help me. How come you didn't help me? How come you didn't save me? And God was like, I sent 3 boats. And in that story, think about it, the priest, all he had to do was say, okay, he prayed, but then you got to actually take action in the real world. So even in that case, you got to do something. You have to make a move. You got to do it. If you got problems with anything, if you got problems like making money, what are you doing about it? You going to sit up and complain like, oh, nobody hired me? Or you going to do something about it, say, you know what, let me work and get the skills to get a job. Well, first look for a job. And then, you know, if I want something in particular, get the skills to be able to perform that job or business. And then work hard on it. If I'm having trouble keeping a job, okay, well, I need to do something about the situation. I need to look at myself and say, oh, how come I'm having trouble, instead of complaining, talking about the days. It's unacceptable for a man to do that. A sovereign man, he handles his own stuff. He takes action. If he got to get help, he still take the action to get the help. Whatever he got to do, he's going to do something about it. I don't care what it is. What are you going to do about it? I want y'all to think about that. Like, the very nature of masculine energy is to take action. It's not to stay still. It's not to complain. If you're waiting for another man to come save you, you got real problems. You're not a man at all. You know, a few weeks ago, I was talking about, you know, many modern women should be called little girls. There's too many men who are males who should be called little boys. And let's be real, there's many like biological little boys who will still take action if they got some issue with something. You don't wait. You do something about the situation. All right? So that's it for this Sovereign Saturday message. And a young man who had used it, please shout yourself out in the description box. Let people know. Let people know. Well, this is, you know, for everything I do, there's people who help me on my journey, and I want them to get the proper recognition. All right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. And get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.